We're back, and we finally know 2 of our Euro 2024 round of 16 matchups definitively. It's getting very interesting now, fellas. Hey guys, welcome back. Now, you may be wondering, where were you yesterday? In case you didn't see the community note I posted, I decided against doing a video yesterday, as yes, there were matches, but the consequences of those matches wouldn't have been known until today's matches were played. It all would have been conjecture and speculation. Oh, Switzerland could be playing this team if they get this result. Unless they get this result, then they'll be playing this team, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It would have been a lot of nonsense. But now that Group B has been played, the landscape is getting filled in, you know? So let's get into the matches and what they mean for the round of 16 matchups. In Group A, all that we knew was that Germany would be going through, but they had some sorting to do in their match against Switzerland. Switzerland were likely through, but either in second or third, depending on if they didn't beat Germany and what happened in the Scotland-Hungary match, you know? Germany rolled out their 11 from the first 2 matches. Switzerland more or less the same, but Mbolo got the start. He looked electric off of the bench. How would he look from the start? Also, Remo Freuler from the start. Germany were absolutely the dominant team for most of this match, at least in the early exchanges they certainly were. We didn't see anything from Switzerland in the opening 20 minutes. They had 27% possession. They didn't have a single attempt. They had 1/3 of Germany's passes. Germany, they had a disallowed goal in that time, which Sommer will have been happy about in more ways than one. Massive howler from Sommer, who is typically such an assured shot stopper. No way Andrich Strike beats him on another day, but Musiala barged into the defender in the lead up, and so it was called off. And then out of nowhere, with their first attempt on goal, Switzerland scored. Remo Freuler, getting on the ball, played a clipped in ball to Ndoye, who finished acrobatically past Manuel Neuer. The first goal that Germany have conceded from an opponent, as Rudiger was the only other player to score against Germany. Not only that, but the first time Germany had trailed a match since the tournament began. Also worth noting, Tah got a yellow card in the 39th minute, meaning Jonathan Tah will be suspended for Germany's round of 16 matchup. But the half carried on how one would expect. Germany trying to unlock the Swiss defense, Switzerland picking their moments carefully to try to counter, mostly through Ndoye, but through Mbolo as well. Ndoye looked really good out there. Germany should have had a penalty in the 71st minute. We're jumping ahead here. One of the most obvious penalties you will see, as apparently we're now allowed to bear hug the attackers in order to put them off. What? Stonewall penalty for me. Germany right to feel aggrieved as UEFA's home nation got away with it. Sorry, had to throw one little bit of conspiracy theory in there. You know, what's football without some tinfoil hat wearing? This is far more than just a little grab of the jersey. Akanji was incredible in this match, saved Switzerland in a few moments, and Rabona Vargas, he nearly put Switzerland 2-0 up, but was just offside. Just look at how close this was to being a goal, and Germany in big trouble. But in stoppage time, Germany finally got what they deserved, as David Raum's cross was met brilliantly by Füllkrug. Another goal off of the bench for him, as it was a delightful header back across Sommer and completely out of reach. Should he be starting? I know Havertz is more of a fit with Wirtz and Musiala in some ways, but Füllkrug looks more potent. I don't know, maybe I'm oversimplifying things, but that's not always a bad thing. Anyway, the draw ensured that Germany won the group, but they certainly didn't look as assured as they had in the previous 2 matches, did they? They showed that when they take a punch in the nose, you can stun them for a bit. Scotland and Hungary had some mystery to their match. All that they knew was that they had to beat the team in front of them in order to give themselves the best chance possible at progressing. They both needed a win. A draw didn't do anybody any good. Scotland were the more positive side. They were playing on the front foot far more, dominating the ball, partially by design to a certain extent from Hungary, as they do look at their best playing in transition, playing on the counter. And they did well to contain Scotland for the most part. Despite having 74% of possession after 25 minutes, Scotland didn't have a single attempt. But around the half-hour mark, we started to see Hungary go forward more often. Szoboszlai had a chance from a free kick. The ball started sticking in the Scottish half far more. And from a free kick once again, Willi Orban hit one off of the bar. Definitely think he would have been offside should that ball have gone in, but it spoke to the danger that Hungary were bringing after the half-hour mark. All to play for in the second half, and hoping for better quality in the second half, as both sides just looked a bit terrified. Scared to make the mistake that gets their country booted out of the tournament. And fair enough, right? Speaking of, Scotland with an unwanted record. They were the only team that failed to have a shot on target in the first half of a match in this tournament when they played against Germany. and it felt so nice. They did it twice, this time against Hungary. Now in the second half, there was a really terrifying moment when a collision between three players, including Scottish keeper Angus Gunn and a defender and Barnabas Varga, who was in the moment seemingly knocked out, but due to the fact that producers are much better these days when it comes to these medical emergencies, there weren't many replays of what exactly happened, just that Gunn collided with him quite violently and he was immediately knocked out. You can tell by the way that he was moving strangely, laying on his back. That aside, the medical response was so slow. Why did it take the entire Hungarian squad to rush them all over? It was frustrating to see Szoboszlai having to run over with the stretcher, the whole squad asking why it took so long for it to happen. He was clearly distressed. The Hungarian doctor said that he needed medical attention. Why did it take so long for them to get over there? Now, thankfully, Varga is in stable condition. He will need to get surgery on his nose and cheekbone, but considering how scary that was, thankfully, he's going to be fine. Now, back to the football, because it did continue. Of course, in the 79th minute, Stuart Armstrong was through on goal. But while he could have gone for a goal, he instead decided to try to win a penalty by jumping into Willy Orban. And you can see him grab the collar of Orban there. On first glance, I thought penalty. On second glance, I was a little more critical. Once I saw this angle, I knew it wasn't a pen and that the referee got it right. So well done to the Argentinian referee. There were a few close calls for Scotland at the end of the match as well, which had about 10 minutes of stoppage time in light of the events. A save from Gunn, as well as a strike that was inches away from winning it for Hungary as Szoboszlai hit the inside of the post. Scotland also had their own opportunities to win this match. Some were offside, but they made the Hungarian defenders work, including from a corner in which Szoboszlai and the fellas broke out brilliantly, and from Szoboszlai's cutback, Szoboszlai scored in the 100th minute, a goal that moved Hungary up to third and sent Scotland home. What an end to it. So, Germany finish in first with their draw. Switzerland go through in second, nearly in first. Hungary in third on 3 points, and we'll be hoping they are one of the 4 best third place teams, but we won't know until all the matches are played in the group stage. Big changes to Spain's 11 as expected, as they had already locked in first place after 2 matches, having defeated the 2 teams that were challenging them. Joselu started, which is what I wanted to see. Sorry, not as a starter ahead of Morata necessarily, but I think he deserved minutes as De La Fuente was constantly putting Oyarzabal as Morata's replacement during the first 2 matches. Also, my boy Grimaldo starting at left back, amongst many other changes in their starting 11. And the best opportunity early match came from a header from Mikel Merino, which was saved well by Strakosha. Prior to that, a cross-in was met by Joselu, but his header went over. That's where Spain were finding joy early, which is interesting because it's a bit different to what their attack looked like with Yamal, Williams, and Morata out there. This was much more direct, at least in the early exchanges, because it would evolve. One of the guys who looked pretty underwhelming when he would come on during the first 2 matches, Ferran Torres, was played through by Dani Olmo brilliantly, and he finished brilliantly as well. Curls it into the bottom corner, off the post and in. Really well done by Ferran Torres. 10 changes to the 11. Laporte was in there still, and they still look strong against Albania. Right at the end of the half, we finally saw Albania, a strike from distance that Araya did well to save. That was their only shot of the first half, while Spain were constantly buzzing in and around Albania's box. Albania's best chance following that came after the 65th minute as the Spanish defense switched off and Broja forced a good save out of Raya again. And again, he would force the save out of Raya in the 92nd minute, one of the last opportunities of the match. Shout out to Albania, man. They really pushed and had some nice moments against Spain, but it was not to be. They always had it tough being drawn into this group. 1-0 the final, Spain with 3 wins from 3. The first team to do so. Italy versus Croatia, and some big changes to the lineup and shape from Spalletti. Chiesa and Scamacca off, Retegui and Raspadori on as a forward duo, Darmian in the back 3. For Croatia, they went back to having Gvardiol as a fullback, Pongracic was back on to partner Sutalo, and also Pasalic was brought into the attack for the start. It was a pretty back and forth match between these two, each side taking a turn to get forward and play a relatively dangerous but defendable ball through the box. However, Sucic did force a save out of Donnarumma. After that, however, Retegui began to be brought into the match by his teammates for Italy as they began finding him in the box for a couple of opportunities. He had a deflected header just wide. He had a volley that deflected wide for a corner as well. Overall, I wasn't feeling this attack that Spalletti put out. I didn't like the shape either. Italy really began taking control from corners. They had a ton of corners. Barella found his inter-teammate Bastoni at the back post, but Livakovic made the save. I think if you were being super picky, you would say that Bastoni headed it right towards Livakovic, where he's coming from, to make it easy for him. He heads that downward and it's a goal. But again, that's being nitpicky and discrediting Livakovic, which he doesn't deserve. He did his job brilliantly. Bastoni would actually have a great opportunity in the second half as well, and he would head over from the corner. So a bit of an off day for him finishing wise. Now in the second half, a Davide Fratesi handball in the box led to a penalty, of which Modric took it, and Donnarumma, as he's wont to do, got a massive hand to it to deny Croatia. He is so good at saving penalties. But shortly after that, Donnarumma made another save from close range, but none of his defenders cleaned up for him, and Lukita was there to roof the ball. From the disappointment and anguish of missing his penalty and how that could cost his nation in this tournament, to then getting on the end of the rebound and lifting it up and over Donnarumma, lifting your nation ahead of Italy. No wonder he was emotional in his celebration. Oldest ever goal scorer in Euros history. What a guy. In the final 10 minutes, Italy were looking not great. Retegui failing to play Scamacca through, the risks they were taking at the back where they nearly coughed up the ball to the Croatians in dangerous areas. And then in the final moments of 8 minutes of added time, by the way, which didn't make a lot of sense to me. I didn't think there was that many stoppages. But anyway, that aside, Calafiori with a brilliant run forward, plays it wide to Zaccagni, and he finished beautifully past Livakovic to draw Italy level and secure second place. Horrible feeling for Croatia. Honestly, really horrible. This is the roller coaster that international tournaments take you on, that roller coaster of emotions. It's horrible, but beautiful. And so the standings are as follows: Spain, Italy, Croatia, and Albania. Croatia on just 2 points. What does that look like in the top third place team standings? So as you probably know, the top 4 third place teams will advance still, and as things stand, Croatia is not one of them. However, they could be should Czechia and Georgia both lose their final matches and England beat Slovenia by a few goals. It's a tall order for them to make it through. They'll need some major favors. So it's cruel for Croatia, but again, that's how these international tournaments go, eh? So Italy will be playing Switzerland in the round of 16 on June 29th. Germany will learn their opponent tomorrow, as they will play the second place team from Group C. So we'll be back tomorrow, guys. It's taking shape, isn't it? Looking forward to seeing what happens in Group C and D, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.